guys, it's Amy at Zoe back, and I'm going to do my October TBR. So I know I'm a couple days late into the month, but it's just been a little busy around here, and I had a really busy weekend, and then things kind of, it's just been really stressful recently, just with everything in the world, in my life, in my car not running. Anyway, so there's a lot of things going on. So I just thought I'd get this out there, and so this is not quite a complete list, because as I was going through here, and of course there's a lot of stuff on here I want to read, but I'm not sure I'm going to get to. But I also have, there's so many read-alongs that are later in this month. There's like the spooky readathon, there's the spookathon, there's I think an autumn readathon, there's like several of them. Like I already know I've missed a couple earlier this month, so I just can't do them earlier this month. I'm too busy on other things. And I think there's also, I think that there's a cozy reading night from Lauren and the books, and I think also that there might be a Dewey's 24-hour readathon this month. So I don't know what I'm going to be doing for those. So I might be doing TBRs for those events if I can do them. I'm just not sure. This month is going to be kind of weird for me with work, as well as all my trying to get myself back into the writing mode, because I'm gonna NaNoWriMo, or National Novel Writing Month, starts in November, on November 1st, and I got a lot of stuff going on in early November that I'm going to see about what I'm going to do. So, okay, so now I've ranted about all that, and again, I said, I'm doing this all from my phone, so I'm going to try to link things below, but just be aware that right now, the computer I borrowed from my dad is about 14 years old. I can't upload any browser to work that can do YouTube. YouTube says, nope, can't work. So, in some trouble here. And I don't want to, like, ask to borrow money from someone just so I could play on YouTube. So, I'm sorry. So, I will try to do what I can on this phone, so I apologize up front for that. Because, again, I really want to link everything, and I will try to write down at least everybody's names and what channels I talk about, even if I do not get the actual sites on there. So I'm sorry about that. As I said, I'm going to try to work out how to make that work. Maybe if somebody has some tips on how I can do that from my phone, I would appreciate that. So far, I can't even change the picture. I get really horrible pictures right now because it just picks one and it doesn't give me a choice from my phone upload. So I'm obviously doing something wrong. So if you guys have any tips on that, let me know. Okay, so now that I've ranted about that a little bit, let's just get into this TBR real quick. First, I'm just going to kind of flash through these. I do have a Victober TBR up, which is Victorian literature during the month of October. I have 5 selections. I've already finished one, so I won't talk about that. But I've started on the second one right now. So I'm having fun with that. We'll see how that goes. It's been a long time since I read Victorian literature, so I'm trying to get back to used to the style of it, and it's very different from all this. Of course, right after reading so much science fiction this last month, so my brain it's taking a little while. That first was luckily a short thing, and the second one is a little bit longer, and then I'll try to go a little bit longer, we'll see how it goes. So anyway, if you want to see that, I'm going to try to link it down below, but if I don't, you could look back at my playlist, or all my videos. Please look for it on Victober TBR. So then I'm just going to go real quick through stuff that I'm in the middle of reading. I'm actually listening to this in my car, is Ann Leckie's Ancillary Mercy, which is book 3 in the Imperial Ratch trilogy. It's a sci-fi series. I have really, really enjoyed this. I can't say much about this third book because it builds on each book, but I love the main character, Breck, and the things that she goes through in her journey. Anyway, so it's a really good series. I have really enjoyed this, and I wish I had read it earlier, but anyway, I'm getting it done. At least one series done. Anyway, so I'm almost done with that. I only have a couple more discs left in my car, so I should be done probably early next week. I'm also trying to finish up the complete Persepolis by Marjane Satrapi. Now, I think I saw this on Mel's Bookland Adventures on her the Read Around the World book club, and I got it from the library because I saw it being talked about from other people. So I'm not very far. I'm behind because this was their September pick, I believe. So but I'm going to try to get through this. I did renew it at the library because I wasn't done. Anyway, the other book I'm in the middle of is the Decameron by Giovanni. Boccaccio. And this is translated by Wayne A. Rebhorn. I don't expect to get through this for months. My goal right now is I only read, there's 10 days of this story, because again, this is a group of 10 young people who left Florence to get away from the Black Plague in 1348, and they tell each other stories all day, or in the evenings, I mean. So there's 10 of them, they get 10 stories every day. So I read the first day's worth of writing on this. So I didn't get very far for the Adam at Memento Mori's read along in September. So I haven't got to watch any of his videos yet because I'm not far enough. So I want to just at least read a day's worth, so 10 short stories within the novel, so that the 1 day's worth every month. So it's going to take me a long time to get through this, but I don't know how else to do it. I'm really bad about short stories, which I'll talk about more of. But the point is that I just want to get through this. It is really hard for me to read this stuff because it's, first of all, it's short stories, but also because of the kinds of short stories, at least so far. So I'll see how it goes. So far, day one was kind of meh for me, so we'll see what happens. So, so going on to what I want to read beyond my Victober ones, and then finishing up at least a couple of these books, not the Decameron, of course. But I also got the next book, the book for October for Mel's Bookland Adventures, Mel's book club on Goodreads. And again, it's called the Read Around the World book club. And again, the next book is The Ice Princess by Camilla Lackberg. This is from Sweden, I believe. So I picked it up because it's a mystery. Has to do with a woman going back to her hometown after her childhood best friend dies, and they don't know if it's suicide or a murder. And of course it's a mystery, so we'll see what happens on that. I picked it up mostly because I figure after I read it, my dad will read it because he loves mysteries, and maybe even another relative or so. But I just thought, and it's an author I didn't know, and it's a mystery, and I'm willing to try something from another country, so that's kind of cool. So, and then from another book club on here on BookTube, on April's channel, getting Hygge with it, her book club Dying to Read book club, also on Goodreads. The book this month is The Seance, and I'm going to try to read this. Again, this is a library book. I don't know a whole lot about this. So I think it has to do with, again, a seance at some point. This woman takes her mother there who's depressed about one of her siblings having been died or something, and something happens at the seance, and then she goes on some kind of a journey, I don't know, discovering something else. I don't know enough. I don't want to know. So anyway, I'm probably going to try it. I don't know if I'll like it or not because I haven't heard anything about this guy, but I thought I'd give it a shot. And then speaking of more, so kind of my more a gothic thing to me at least, this is a book that I was going to read back in July and I just did not get to it, and I figure I just want to read it, and I want to read The Birds by Daphne du Maurier. Now there are other stories in here. I'm not sure I'm going to read the rest of them. I just want to read the short story for The Birds. The Birds is my favorite Alfred Hitchcock film, and I just love that film a lot. And I knew that there was a book to it. I never found it at the time when I was really into it, back probably when I was in college or something, or around that time. But, you know, I saw this all on people's channels. I got this book, and I saw somebody else saying they were going to read it this month. So I really want to get to that. So at least I'm going to read that short story, and then maybe I'll read more. And again, I haven't read Daphne du Maurier in years. I read Rebecca many, many years ago. Like, I have to say it's been 20 years ago or so. I was in my, I was younger, and I remember reading it because I read a lot of Victoria Holt at the time, and that's, she was gothic as well, just a little bit more sensational, or I don't know. They were different. They're different writing styles, but for some reason I read that and one of Victoria Holt's that was really quite similar, and I remember that, but that's about all I remember. So I'm going to try some Daphne du Maurier, and again, The Birds was my favorite of the movies. So then I did have a book that I'll talk about later that I've mostly DNF'd. I'm just not going to bring it up here because then I'd have to explain why, and I'll talk it in my whatever wrap up I talk about it in. But for my book club for November, we're reading The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Now, I have read this. I think I read this, like, I don't know, it's been at least 7 or 8 years. Or I'm pretty sure, I don't remember when this came out. I read it pretty soon after it came out. One of my friends talked me into reading it, and I was, yeah. So it came out in like 2007. So I'm guessing I read it in 10 or 11, because I think the second book had just come out, The Wise Man's Fear. Well, I've never continued on. And this happens to be our book club pick of the month for November. So I didn't want to reread the whole thing again. I have read it. So I got the audiobook. And so I did start listening to it last year. For some reason, I was going to continue on. Maybe I think I heard a rumor that the third book was coming out, and that did not prove to be correct, and I think I stopped. So anyway, I know I made it at least about 260 pages in, you know, and this is like over 700 pages. So I made a good chunk of it. I think I'm going to try to restart the audiobook where I ended it after I finish Ancillary Mercy, and have this in my car and try to get this done by November. We'll see what happens, because again, the audiobook is huge, and I have to get this done by the second week of November. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, this will be a reread, and then we'll see if I want to continue on from there until, like I said, I really don't want to read the second book until the third book is like, it has the date and it's going to be published. And then another 2 books that I want to read that I talked about in September, but I didn't get to them in September, was A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab, which is the second book in the, I don't even remember what the name of this series is called. You know, the Darker Shade of Magic series, or I'm not sure what the series is called right now off the top of my head. Anyway, this is the second book, and it has to do with Londons that are different colored, like they have different power levels, and Kel is the only one who can go between them with his powers, are one of the very few who can. So this is book 2 of the trilogy. I have the whole trilogy, but I only read the first book a couple of months ago. I drew this in my TBR jar pick, so I do want to kind of get to that, because I need to get to that. And then another one is my other one from, I think, August. I drew Devil's Kiss by Zoe Archer. I'm going to probably pick this up in the next couple of weeks, or next week is my goal. After I read a couple of Victorian literature, I thought I'd break it up with a paranormal romance to kind of get through this. Again, I'm trying to read these TBR jar picks within a couple of months of when I draw them. I'm not doing so hot, but those are the 2 I need to do. And then I would really like to get back into this and read the Obelisk Gate, and then move on to the Stone Sky. So I do not know if this is going to happen this month. I would really like to at least read this one, and then maybe the Stone Sky I'd get to in December, due to the fact NaNoWriMo I'm not going to be reading much fiction, because I'm probably going to do nonfiction November in order to be able to listen and read and stuff and still write. So just so I'm not confusing myself. Anyway, but we'll get more into that later. Anyway, so this is the second book of the Broken Sky trilogy, or Broken Sky, see, just Stone Sky, anyway, Broken Earth trilogy. And again, it has to do, it's a science fiction kind of fantasy-ish kind of world. It's really a good different one. I love the perspectives in the first book and the 5th season. And it has to do with the land called the Stillness that's not still. It's like a huge continent that's trying to break apart. And there are people called Origins who can move the earth, and they are very feared and they're regulated. So anyway, I really want to get to book 2 because I hear it's really good, and so is book 3. So need to get to those. And so then I have a library book here too, but I'm not going to mention it because I'm probably not going to read it. So forget that. So the last thing I'm going to do here is pick out I have a TBR jar. Now I don't have everything in here yet, because I said all the books that I bought in September don't go in until after I've put in after I've drawn, because those I get a freebie month to try to read them before I put them in the jar. So I'm just going to pull something out and hope it's not a huge book, because I really don't want to read that big of a book right now, because I have a lot of books to read, and it'd be nice to read something small. So, okay, I got, can we see this? It's a Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki, I don't know how to say that. Now, what's really funny is that I got this book from a cousin of mine a while ago, And I hadn't actually got to it. And then I've seen here on BookTube everybody talking about it. So let me get it. Hold on a second. So it's kind of funny that it's actually a book that I've been thinking about. So as I said, I got this from my cousin who said she really liked it, and she doesn't read anywhere near as much as I do. So she picks up different stuff, and I think it's so funny because everybody on BookTube has been talking about this recently. A couple people have read it, and I know it's a Man Booker finalist back in 2013, which I think is really interesting. So I'm kind of interested to see how this goes. So I have, with my TBR jar picks, I give myself at least about 2 to 3 months to read them. So the way my TBRs are looking, I'm thinking this is more December. But we will see. As I said, it's one I've been thinking about because I've been seeing a lot of people doing reviews on them. So, or just got them and are going to read them. So anyway, I'm really excited. So that is my TBR. What are you guys reading in October? I have no idea how I'm going to read all this stuff. And I still need to start writing. And there's some readathons I really want to do that more spooky, more Halloweenish, and I don't have a whole lot of that. Like I have a few little things here and there. So, as I said, I really want to do the all the Victorian literature that I picked out. That I want to do that to kind of do some stuff. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure. So anyway, hey, let me know what you guys are reading or what you think I really should focus on, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.